part of a series of online discussions brought to you by the ACRL University Library Section's Professional Development Committee. I'm Alex Diekey, a member of the committee. I will be moderating this program along with my colleagues Taylor McNear and Jason Martin. This is one of an ongoing series of online programs sponsored by our committee, and at the end of the session, I will give you more information about upcoming programs. This session is being recorded, and when the recording is ready, we will send the links to the video to everyone who registered for the program. The program today will consist of approximately 45 minutes of presentation from our panelists, followed by a question and answer section. Please feel free to post your questions in the chat box, and we will collect all of them and answer as many as we can at the end. We will post a link to a program assessment in the chat box after the Q&A session, so please take a few moments to give us your feedback on today's program at the end of today. With those announcements out of the way, I'm very happy to start today's program. We are joined today by Lindsay O'Neill. Lindsay is a faculty member in California State University Fullerton's Master of Science in Instructional Design and Technology program. She's also the part-time instructional design librarian at CSUF's Pollock Library, and on the side she runs Esperanto Learning, an instructional design and development company. Lindsay consults and trains faculty and librarians on effective pedagogy, instructional design, educational technology, e-learning development, open licensing, and accessibility. Lindsay holds a Master of Education specializing in educational technology, instructional design, as well as a Master of Library and Information Science. And without further delay, I will hand it over to Lindsay.
Good morning. Thank you so much for that introduction, Alex. I am going to turn on my webcam so you can get the personal touch in this webinar. Okay, so I've got, I guess, a short time, so I should get going. All right, this is 20 apps in 60 minutes, I guess a little bit less than. I'll give you a sneak preview of the apps, too, that we're going to cover, just so you can know if they're going to be super useful to you or not. All right, so this is me. As of this year, I am full-time in teaching for the instructional design program. We have a really great, completely online program at Cal State Fullerton. If you are ever thinking about it, you should check it out. We also do a certificate as well. And I did just start my own company doing instructional design, so I design custom e-learning, and I also do training. It's definitely one of my passions. All right. So this is the sneak preview of all 20 apps. I've got a couple of productivity ones. I've got a few media creation ones, like for video editing, interactive tutorials. I've got some, I guess it's kind of heavy on the active learning sort of activities. So if you're looking for active learning in your instruction, this is for you. And all of these are free. Some of them are freemium. So they do have a limited number of student respondents, for example, or they have limited functionality, but I'll mention those as I go through. And again, please do enter your questions into the chat as we go through. I want to make sure that I do get back to all your questions. And also at the end, I did have at the very end, I have a short survey I would love for you to fill out for me, for my own information. It's only 3 questions, and if you put your email address in there, I'll send you the slides after this presentation as well, so don't feel like you have to follow everything really closely. So, okay. All right, so first one, I want to start with a game. This is called Kahoot. I am going to, oh, I forgot to practice this ahead of time. I'm going to share my screen, Elois. I don't see the option to share my screen. I totally forgot to ask you to do this ahead of time. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, so I am sharing my screen. I'm opening up to Kahoot. If you can't see my screen, please let me know. So what you should do is either in your browser window, in a separate browser window, or on your personal device, you can pull out your device and play along with us. This is a multiple choice game. Here it is. Okay, I got started. Let me mute this so it's not too loud. Okay, so this is Kahoot. Navigate to kahoot.it. So again, navigate to kahoot.it and use the game pin 151811. All right, people are getting in there. So you just make up a name. You can be anonymous. You make up a screen name. You can use your real name. This game is just for fun. It will be 5 questions related to Pollock Library, where I work. And it's just for fun. So as a quick note, The question and all the answers will be on the main screen, and on your personal device, you'll only see the little boxes for you to answer. So the actual answers will not be on your personal device. You have to look up on screen. And the reason for this is that in a classroom, the goal is for students to keep their eyes up on the screen rather than fiddling too much with their own devices. That's Kahoot's philosophy. It seems to work, but sometimes people get confused by it. Okay, so I'm going to give you, I know we have a lot of people today, so I'll give you another 30 seconds or so to get logged in. Normally during this part, there's really fun kind of bouncy, energetic music that plays along with this. It's fun in a classroom. I really like this for icebreakers or just for gauging existing knowledge. You can use Kahoot for polling. It's a really good way to get your learners involved and laughing at the very beginning of a class too, because it's funny how competitive you get. Okay, so again, if you're not logged in, it's kahoot.it on your personal device or in your browser, and the game pin is 151811. Duh, I like someone's name is Duh. Okay, so a few more seconds, and then we'll start. Let's see if this number levels off here. Okay, I think we're about leveled off with maximum number of players. Okay, so say 10 more seconds. If you're not able to log in, it's okay. You can still follow along on screen for personal glory. You'll know that you did really well. Wow, we have a lot of players today. Okay, so again, it's kahoot.it. The pin is 151811, and we are going to go ahead and get started in the interest of time. Okay, here we go. So this is fun facts about Pollock Library. Again, that's where I work in Southern California. All right, so there's no way that you'll know this, but what was Cal State Fullerton's original name? And your four choices are on the bottom there. I've got a cool historic picture of Cal State Fullerton. I guess your hint could be that originally we were a teaching college. 6 seconds, you see the timer on the left there. The faster you answer, the more points you get. All right, so original name was Orange County State College, so we did take a detour. I guess I led you astray with my clue. I actually can't remember what the original name was for my campus either. I mean, we're in normal school at one point, but we were originally at Orange County State College. So if any of you are familiar with Orange County, there is a very long street called State College Boulevard that goes through half the county, and that's because of our campus. Okay, so my little windows is in the way here. I'm going to move that out of the way. Okay, so, and then after every question, you get a scoreboard just like this. The faster you answer, the more points you get. It always shows the top 5, and at the very end, it shows you the top 3, which is really cool. All right, how many librarians work at Pollock Library? For context, we have 40,000 students. 40,000 students. How many librarians do we have? Those answers are flying in. It's incredible. Oh, yes, we do have 23 librarians. I think we might be up to 25. We are hiring some part-time reference librarians if you're in the area. Actually, that deadline might have passed. Anyways, yeah, we have 23 librarians for 40,000 students and 2,000 faculty and staff. Bree's in the lead. Awesome. Normally in a classroom, they'd be cheering right now, and people would be getting really competitive. How many stars do we have on Yelp? Because, of course, everything is rated on Yelp these days. Now you can set the amount of time to answer each question. I did keep it short for this just because we have so many people. We do have 4 stars. That's pretty good. It could be better. The library needs a little bit of love, so maybe in the future we can up that score. How many ebooks do we have? I love telling faculty and students about our ebooks. I should say we are part of a consortium of all 23 CSU campuses, so we're able to pool our resources and get even more ebooks. And of course, we don't own all of these. We have 200,000. Oh, you guys are optimistic, thinking we have 300,000. You know what? This might be out of date. We might actually be up to 400,000. I'm a bad librarian. But anyways, We have a lot, which is awesome. All right, Cleveland is in the lead, way in the lead, 3,500 points. Excellent work. All right, last question. Completely random factoid. How many reference questions did we answer 2 years ago? Because apparently that's when I had stats for. Still working on collecting those stats. We're a little behind. All right, 17,000 questions, 17,800 questions in 2014-15. Of course, we do online reference and in-person reference and research consultations and all that good stuff. So now we come to the final results. Cleveland won. Yay, Cleveland. You get the prize of eternal glory. Yay. DG came in second. Katie came in third. Awesome work. All right, so let me get out of sharing my screen. Oh boy, here we go. Stop sharing. Okay. Awesome, thank you for participating. Kahoot is free. I like it because it has a really easy, I should say low barrier to participating. So one of my philosophies with educational technology is that it should be really easy to use. If your students or your learners are struggling just to figure out how to use a tool or get access to it, you shouldn't be using it. So something like this is pretty easy. With a really big crowd like this, it's a little bit harder for all of you. I wasn't expecting such a big crowd today, so I apologize. But thanks for participating in that. When I've used this in the class, it is really engaging. Adults love it, kids love it, basically everybody loves it, and you find out how competitive everyone is, so I highly recommend it. All right, moving on. Okay, so one of my other tools that I am constantly telling people about, and I've recently wrote a blog post about this on my website, is H5P. More and more people are learning about this, which is great because I want everyone to know about it. It is an open source tutorial maker. You don't have to download anything. It's all hosted on h5p.org. And there are dozens of formats of interactive tutorials you can make, including a memory game, interactive videos, and most of them are accessible. There's an existing list somewhere where they're all 508 compliant. I've got a couple of my two favorites I wanted to show you. So my first favorite, and I'll show you some examples of these live in just a moment. My first favorite is the interactive video one because you can take any existing video from YouTube or upload your own, and you can just insert multiple choice questions or more information as a little clickable throughout the video. The video will automatically pause if you set it to, or it'll keep playing and you have to catch the question as it goes through. So I think this is a really nice way, especially for libraries, to be able to create a short interactive tutorial that doesn't take very much effort or very much learning on your part. Now the challenge is that you probably want to know who's answering the questions and who's completed or not. So there is a plugin for, I think it's on my next slide, there is a plugin for WordPress, Moodle, and Drupal where you can use H5P activities as assignments. And I know the name H5P is dreadful. I keep looking up what it stands for and I keep forgetting again. I think it actually stands for HTML5 packages, not a thrilling abbreviation. All right, so that was interactive videos. My other favorite format in H5P, because there are dozens, is the course presentation format. It's called course presentation. It's kind of like an interactive PowerPoint, or if any of you have used Adobe Captivate or Storyline, it's in that same sort of slide format, and in each slide you can put content, you can put an activity, you can put basically whatever you want. I'll show you an example of this in just a moment too. And it's actually really comparable to Storyline or Captivate because you can put in hotspots as well to allow some custom navigation. There's a lot of customization available for each of these tutorials. And because you're creating it on h5p.org, it can live there forever, or you can embed it someplace else as an iframe. So if you have a LibGuide you want to put something into, that would work for this as well. And because it's open source, the default is for the frame for each tutorial to have a download button. So you can actually download someone else's tutorial, redo it yourself, and of course they should have a Creative Commons license on it, but it makes it easier to share and duplicate these things. So if you made something cool and your coworker wanted to use it, they could just make a copy and update it for themselves. It's also great because it is open source, anyone can update this. So if I'm the instructional design librarian and I make something cool, if I make it in Storyline, I'm the only one that can't update it because that's proprietary software. But with H5P, anyone can update it, and that's really important to me. All right, so back to sharing my screen. I'm going to show you a couple of examples really quick. Close that. Okay, so this first one, I'm going to mute it. So this is hosted on the H5P website. I have also put these into Moodle as assignments. Our course, our campus uses Moodle, and they do work as assignments. You can assign points to them and see who completed it, and that's really cool. So this is the course presentation format. Again, probably my favorite format after, well, probably above interactive video. And you can see at the bottom here, you can navigate through. So it starts with the title slide. The second slide is an embedded YouTube video that automatically plays. That's really cool. The third slide is a quiz. It's only one question quiz because it's just a demo. But you can see how pretty it is, and it didn't take me any effort really to enter this quiz. Oh, it takes you the whole thing. You can you can set it to give immediate feedback, later feedback, whatever you like, and it tells you how you did. And you can set a minimum score for it as well. And then at the very end, it does do a summary. So that's really cool for, again, an open source tool. You can make your own tutorials really quickly. And like I said, it is really comparable to Storyline or Captivate. So originally, I made this Affordable Learning Solutions. It's our open education program for the Cal State system. I made this big tutorial course in Articulate Storyline, which is very expensive software. And a few months ago, just for kicks, I tried to remake it in H5P, and it actually turned out really well because H5P has something called hotspots, so you can make your own navigation on the screen. So again, this is the course presentation format. You can embed videos. You can have pop-out videos. You can have information boxes where information comes up. And I use the hotspots on the bottom so you can jump to the different parts of the course as well. Again, this is downloadable, and this whole presentation is Creative Commons licensed. If you wanted to use it, you are welcome to. But I just wanted to show you how powerful H5P is, and it's wonderful and it's open source. So, all right, I'm going to stop sharing that. All right, so next one is Canva. Hopefully you've heard of, well, hopefully you haven't heard of Canva because I'm including my presentation. I love Canva. It's just canva.com. It's a freemium graphic design service. It's all web-based. There are apps as well that you can download. Basically what it is it's templates, pre-set up templates with graphics and text. They just plug your own content into, and it looks like you created something professionally. So a lot of us don't have a very good marketing department, and it's really nice just to be able to throw something together really quickly that looks really, really nice. How they make money is if you want some of the templates you have to pay for, and they're cheap. They're only $1 to $3 usually, and some of the graphics you have to pay for. So if there's a really nice photograph in there that you search for within Canva, they might charge you for it. However, you can upload your own media as well. So I like to go and find Creative Commons media. I upload that. Of course, make sure I give a little credit underneath there. You can see on the screen there some of the graphics that I came up with. And those are all using existing graphics within Canva. What I really like is that it pairs the fonts for you already. So you don't have to think about what fonts look together, and it doesn't end up looking cluttered. The fonts are complementary, and it looks really nice. So that's canva.com. All right, so the next three are presentation kind of apps. Microsoft Sway, and I'll show you examples of these too. This is a nice presentation software that, again, makes it really easy to create something that looks really professional. So this would be like if you wanted your students to read through some multimedia, or maybe you have a mix of readings and videos you want your students to read through. You can dump it all into Sway. It makes it really easy for you, and it puts it together for you. So it's nice for multimedia when you have various formats, but you want it all in one package. Similar, Adobe Spark does something really similar, but also offers app versions as well. And it does sync, if you have the app, it syncs between desktop and apps. The app is coming soon to Android, that they say. This one, they have a few different options for formats of what you want to come up with. make a post, make a page, but it's basically the same concept. You can take all of the multimedia you want and plug it all into the same package. And it's probably just an issue of which platform that you prefer. Ludus is really interesting. I learned about this pretty recently. Ludus is basically just PowerPoint, but on a web service. And what I really like about it is it just makes it really easy to put media in there and to edit your media. You can actually just copy a URL of an image and paste it into Ludus, and it just automatically inserts it. So I'll actually show you what I mean just now, an example. Okay, close some of my screens here. Okay, so I'll start with an example of Microsoft Sway. I'm a sucker for GIFs, as so many of us are, and I really like that all of these just automatically allow your GIFs to play. All right, so this is Microsoft Sway. You can use your mouse wheel to scroll through, or you can use the arrows at the bottom. Now, the person that made this isn't me, it's just an example. The person that made this, they didn't have to do any formatting. They just had to choose the modules that they wanted to include and then just plug in their own content, so their own images. Microsoft also allows you now to search through Bing, of course, for images, which is kind of nice. You can include SoundCloud files. You can do a stack of pictures, so it's interactive, which is cool. If you click on a photo, it brings it out. Let's see, I know there's some videos in here too, some interesting art. Yeah, and here's some videos too, so you can play them from right within the presentation. You don't have to go to another slide or anything. So that's still loading. I'm not going to wait for that to load. So this is Adobe Spark. So this is really similar. Again, it's probably just an issue of whether you prefer Microsoft or Adobe. You find Microsoft Sway within the Office suite online, Office 365. And similarly, you just choose the modules you want, and this is great for storytelling, and you just plug in your own content. So this woman hiked across Nepal, and she made this really neat presentation about it, which includes pictures of her feet. This is really cool. I love that it does these automatic zoom-ins with the photos too. It adds that visual interest and keeps your content from being really static. It's an issue that I see in a lot of online videos too, is that the picture will sit on the screen forever, there's no movement. This is kind of like the Ken Burns effect, if you've ever seen Ken Burns documentary. Slight movement of the photos keeps it really interesting and keeps the eye drawn to it. All right, so I also want to show you Ludus. So again, Ludus is basically just like an online PowerPoint. It's free, but it makes it super easy to include media, and again, it lets you pop in GIFs, and the GIFs just play. I don't know if any of you have ever been frustrated by PowerPoint not playing nice with YouTube or with the GIF. This eliminates all that, and all lives on the web, so you don't have to worry about keeping that thumb drive with you also. All right, so I just opened up a blank slide. Say I wanted to put a picture of Sue the T-Rex into Ludus, so that is loading. All right, so I'm just going to copy using a keyboard shortcut. I'm going to use Control-C to copy the URL, so Control-C for that. I go back to Ludus. I do Control-V for paste. If you don't know these keyboard shortcuts, they're my favorite. Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. So I just hit that, boom, there's Sue the T-Rex right there in my presentation. Of course, I haven't checked on the provenance of that photo, so you need to make sure that it's credited properly. But I just want to show you how very, very easy it is to drop in media into Ludus. And it's the same thing with YouTube. You actually just take the URL from the browser bar and just drop it in. It's really cool. I love it. Okay, moving on. So this is sort of a weird app, and sometimes it's hard to wrap your mind around. You can see in the top left, I called it a nifty thing doer. This service is actually called If This, Then That. Basically what it does is it makes all of your stuff work together. If any of you have seen commercials for anything that belongs in a smart home, like when I pull in the driveway, turn on my Bluetooth powered lights, whatever. That's basically kind of what If This, Then That does. I really like this because it can do things like anytime you're tagged in a Facebook photo, it'll put it into your Dropbox, so you can have that forever. You can automate other things, like you can have it text you to bring an umbrella in the morning if it's forecast for rain in your area. You can use it to work on your social media. So if you post something to Twitter, you can have it post to Facebook. There's a lot of really cool things that you can do with it. So these are called recipes, all the different possibilities, and you can also make your own as well. So it plays really nice with Dropbox, with your social media. It plays nice with Google as well, so you can use it for Gmail and for Google Drive. I really like it, especially for backing up stuff. I can do a lot with media, and I want everything to be backed up, so that helps me out with that. Okay, next one is called Plickers. And this is student polling in a live, in-person classroom that doesn't require any technology. What it does require is for you to, in advance, print out these paper response cards. Those are called the Plickers. And that's a picture of one on the screen, that barcode. If you look really close, on each side of the barcode, it has a letter, A, B, C, and D. And what you do is you set up your poll in advance and show that on screen, and you have multiple choice questions for your students. And you ask them to answer using their Plicker. How they answer is they take their card, and each barcode is unique, and they hold it up according to what their answer is at the top of the Plicker. So if their answer is B, they hold B at the top, for example. What you do then is you take your personal device, and you actually it feels kind of creepy, honestly, but you take a little picture, a sweep of the classroom, and it scans all the barcodes, and it shows on screen, if you want to make it live, of course, it shows how everyone answered. It allows students to answer anonymously, and it allows them to not have to worry about technology themselves, which I think can be really helpful, especially for maybe one-shots, for example, where you don't know if your students are going to be necessarily, because pass those out really fast, it's all anonymous. It takes a little bit of advanced setup, but you can reuse the materials, you can reuse the online stuff that you set up as well. This is a freemium service. The set of Plickers is free, you just have to print them out yourself, and there's probably limits to how many students you can have on your system. And that's a picture of the teacher using their phone to scan the students' answers. This is fun. I have used it in one shot, and it works really well. All right, so it's going to be interactive in just a second, but I want to tell you about Padlet. A lot of people have heard of Padlet. It's probably old news by now. Padlet is basically an online corkboard that anyone can post to, depending on how you have it set. I like to use it as either class brainstorming, or I like to use it as an activity, especially for a library one-shot workshop, where you have students find an article, for example, and post it to the class Padlet. And I leave the Padlet up on screen in front so you can see how the students did. And you can also use it as a content organizer. For example, this little picture here is a first grade classroom, and they made an online bookshelf using Padlet. So this one is interactive in that you can click on each book, but you can't actually add your own content. How I like to use it is for students to add their content to it. So go ahead, let's try it now. The URL is on screen. It's tinyurl.com/20apps2018. I'll bring that up, and the URL will be on the Padlet. I'll show you in just a second. So I'd love for you to take a moment to stop listening to me talking so much and to add something to the Padlet. So again, the address is kind of small in the top left there. It's tinyurl.com/20apps2018. 2018. To add, you can click on the little yellow, why am I calling it yellow? The pink plus button in the lower right of your screen. You can open up another browser window. You can do it on your device as well. A lot of people love Evernote so far. And because there's going to be so many people in this presentation today, I set the Padlet to automatically brick everyone together. So anytime you add something, it adds it as another brick in a wall. But there's other ways you can do it where you can just make it random. People can move stuff around. So again, if you're trying to log in, it's tinyurl.com/20apps. That's 20apps2018. 20apps2018. Someone uses Slack. I also love Slack. Someone said with Padlet, it makes thinking visible without post-its. And once you do add stuff to Padlet, you can keep it forever too. So you can always lock it later on to further responses and leave it up for people to refer to, which is great for brainstorming. Someone loves Kahoot. Happy face. I love Kahoot. I love a lot of things. Apparently, I'm always telling people the things I love. Firewatch. I played Firewatch. Oh, that's because you can see it on my screen. Firewatch is great. I love that app. All right, so these are all flying in fast and furious here. You can see the new ones are being added to the top. Scroll down. Yes, UDL guidelines. I have used the UDL guidelines at CAST. Someone drew. You can draw pictures. Yeah, you can add URLs. You can embed pictures. You can do a lot with Padlet. It's really fun. And of course, you can customize a background too. You can put your own background. I like to keep something relatively neutral. I also use MyFitnessPal. That is a very helpful app. I love you can see someone typing it out on screen too. Love Canva. When I use this in class, for some reason, there's always a student that wants to type in waffles for whatever reason instead of their article. I don't know. I'm sure your local learners have their own idiosyncrasies as well. Another happy face on there too. Lose it, where they're at. Yeah, so when you add something, yeah, look at that. Add a location, add a snap, add a link, upload a file. There we go. Ha! Someone took a picture of themselves. That's awesome. I love it. Waffles. Yep, someone put waffles. Okay. Someone asked, I'm seeing some of the chat things come through. You don't have to, the students don't have to sign up. You just have to make it open to anybody. So when you're in class, I like to make sure I'm logged into Padlet as the instructor. So if anyone does do any sort of vandalism type thing or anything obnoxious, you can delete it or you can edit it. But the students can just log in. And again, that's why after the fact, I might want to lock it to further responses to prevent any future vandalism or anything else. But in class, it works really well. All right. So again, please keep sharing your chat questions. You can arrange the cards in custom ways. Yeah, there's different options. I like to do the kind of random one. Wherever you double click, that's where your thing goes. That's kind of fun. Okay. So again, keep adding your questions to the chat. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. This will stay open. Eventually, I will lock it. But if you sign up later on, if you give me your email address through my survey, I'll send you a link to this as well so you can see all the other apps that people added. Okay, thank you so much for participating in that. All right, 10:32 my time, 12:32 Central. I'll get 9 apps down and 11 to go. We'll have a couple more interactive things. And please keep those questions coming. Okie doke. Let's continue onwards. Okay. So next up is a software called Jing. You may have heard of TechSmith. They're the same company that makes Snagit and Camtasia. My campus has Snagit and Camtasia licenses available for free to us. I love Snagit and Camtasia. They are wonderful, but they do make Jing available for free. It's basically, you know, like a freemium thing. You have a 5-minute limit on your videos. So what you would use Jing for is for taking quick snaps of your desktop or for doing screen recordings. 5 minutes is pretty good. I mean, generally when I make videos, I stick to 5 minutes or less because probably no one's going to watch past 3 or 4 minutes anyways. Mac does have some screen recording software built in via QuickTime. It's just not very easy to use. Windows, I have no idea if there's anything built into that. But Jing is really easy, and it lives on your desktop. So if you're doing, like, say, online reference, a lot of my colleagues, the really clever ones, will just make a quick video of how to do something, and they can upload it to their social media, like, say, their YouTube account, and then just send a link to the student online so they can see exactly what they're talking about. Because I don't know if you guys do text reference online, but it gets really tedious sometimes when you have no idea what they're looking at, they have no idea what you're looking at, and it's hard to describe stuff. So that's a great use for Jing. And another great use for Jing is you can take your 5-minute videos and you can edit them for free using Shotcut. So again, TechSmith makes Camtasia, which is video editing software. I love Camtasia. I make all of my videos using Camtasia. But Shotcut is free and open source. It's very similar to Camtasia. It's not quite as intuitive, but you could take those videos you make using Jing for free, dump them into Shotcut, and you could make longer videos, you could trim them. Jing doesn't have any editing capability. It's just a one-shot, you do it, that's how it is forever. But you could always put them in a Shotcut, so I think that's really nice. And then, speaking of media creation, I love Audacity. You've probably heard of Audacity. Audacity is open source, it's free, it's really easy to use. What I like to do is when I make videos, like short tutorial videos for the library, I will record my audio separately using Audacity so that I can make sure I get high enough quality audio. And then I just import that into Camtasia. If you're using Shotcut, you can just import that audio into Shotcut over your screen recording. So quick tip for video making, I really like to do screen recording separate from the audio recording. So I'll do a run through as I'm doing the screen recording, and maybe I'll talk aloud as I'm doing the screen recording. Then I dump that audio, I re-record it in Audacity, and I dump that into the same video editing file, and that'll make your videos much higher quality. Other last quick tip, when you are recording, I put my little pointer there, your waveform, that's called the waveform, it should never touch the sides. If you make your audio recording and the waveform touches the sides, it sounds distorted and horrible, so be careful of that when you are recording. So that's my Lindsay's quick tip for audio recording. So those are all great software, I love them. Okay, so another thing that I love is Poll Everywhere. It's an audience response tool where, again, you use your own device, either your browser or your phone. I would love for you to participate in this with me, but the free version is limited to 40 participants. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the poll everywhere on screen. First 40 people can respond because it's fun. And for everyone else, Lois, would you please pull up the one poll question that I gave you? So if you're not able to get into Poll Everywhere, there we go. Okay, perfect. So Lois put up the poll question. Thank you so much, Lois. And if you want to try the Poll Everywhere, give it a shot. It is limited to 40 people because it's a freemium product. And yes, this session is being recorded. So this is the Poll Everywhere I have up on screen. We'll come back to the poll in just a moment. So for Poll Everywhere, I set this up in advance, and you go to pollev.com/LindsayO462. And the responses should come up live, and hopefully this is working for you. I'm not seeing any responses yet. So either respond to the poll in the webinar itself, or you can respond to this one. The preview is just a live one. Let's see if this is working. Oops. I've refreshed it. Okay. This is activated, right? Looks like it may not be working. So what should be happening is that as you respond to Poll Everywhere, which one you click on, so how you're feeling right now, depending on which happy face you click on, it will have a little pointer appear on each happy face. I'm not sure why it's not working. This is active. All right, well, it is active. I don't know what's going on with it. Oh, there it goes. Holy cow. I guess there's just a lag. Okay, I'll make that full screen one more time. So again, I'm sorry, this one's limited to only 40 participants. I had no idea so many people were going to come today. So this might be a fun way just to get the temperature of your room. Poll is full. I'm sorry about that. But you can see that most of you are feeling pretty good. A couple people are feeling meh. No one's feeling outright unhappy, so that's a good thing. All right, let me stop sharing. If you aren't able to answer that, you can please respond to the poll within the webinar. Oh, it's already ended. Well, most of you are feeling pretty good, so that's good. I'm glad you're all feeling good so far. Again, please keep those questions coming, and I'll try to get to those questions at the end. All right, so that's Poll Everywhere. Again, it's freemium, so I'm sorry it has limited response. But I do like the possibilities of having the live thing on screen so you can see how everyone's doing. Okay. So a few of you mentioned in the Padlet you love Evernote. I also love Evernote. I love Evernote because it's a way of taking notes and collecting clips and things that syncs across formats. So if you use it on your desktop and you have the app on your phone, it'll sync to your phone as well. For example, that's really great for conferences, for example, if I want to take notes on my iPad because I want to hold the whole laptop. And later on, I can use my laptop to sort through my notes from the conference. You can also download a supplemental app called Penultimate if you have an iPad, where you can actually freehand use a stylus to write in your notes, and it'll sync to Evernote as well. I use that a lot. And actually, Evernote does this thing where it recognizes your text and you can search it later on. I have really messy handwriting, and it actually did a pretty good job of making my handwritten notes searchable, so that was really cool. Yeah, so Evernote's desktop, iPad, Android, whatever your format, it'll sync between them. And there's a freemium and an upgradable version as well for that. Next couple are more productivity things. I love Wunderlist. Again, I mostly love it because it syncs between the web and the mobile app. You can use Wunderlist as a team, so if you wanted to delegate some tasks, you have some big project going on, you can use this to delegate tasks. You can use it for reminders, for repeat tasks. You can use it for notifications. If I'm at work and I need to remember to bring my webcam with me to work tomorrow, which I can never remember to do, I can make a little reminder in Wunderlist to ping me at 7 a.m. the next day to remind me to bring my webcam to work. And that just depends on whether or not I actually remember to look at my phone and bring my webcam. Can you tell I've forgotten my webcam a lot? So Wunderlist is great because it is just a to-do list, and whatever format you have or you're using it on, or whatever platform, it will sync. Trello is sort of similar, but Trello is a little bit more intense. Rather than just being a single task, it's more of like a project manager. Again, these are free, and there's a freemium version. Just like with Wunderlist, you can make plan collaboratively using Trello. So again, if you have a team, you can delegate things, you can make comments on tasks. I understand that there are Chrome plugins as well, so if you wanted to even change the visual looks of Trello, for example, if you wanted to color code each card, each of those in the little screen is actually a card that you can rename, move around, add comments, media to. You can have different boards, so it's kind of like Padlet meets Wunderlist, I guess. You can have different boards for different projects. You can put statuses on things. It's really helpful for big projects if you can't remember where you are, if you're working with a team again. And again, you can customize using those plugins from Chrome, which is really nice. Slack. Some people said they love Slack. I also love Slack. Basically, Slack is just really nice, free internal messaging for your organization or for your team or committee, wherever you are, or for your interest group. We finally got Slack last year. There's a free version and there's a paid version. The basic version is free, but past 500 messages or so, it only keeps the last 500 messages for the free version, for example. If you wanted to archive every conversation you've had, you'd have to pay, but it's pretty inexpensive. We used to have an internal IM system that was based on our server, and it didn't work very well. It randomly crashed. Slack just works. You can download the little app for your computer. You can download that for your phone. You can use it online. You can have different channels for different groups or different projects. So like as instruction librarians, we have our own channel where we chat with each other. There's also a random channel. We have a coffee run channel, so if you need coffee and you think someone else might want to come along, you can organize that. I love it. It's great. It's wonderful. I love Slack. It's a lot of fun. It can also be very distracting at work. Okay, so a couple more interesting active learning things that I have, and I should probably end up fairly on time here. All right, so one is called Twine. Twine is open source downloadable software for telling interactive and nonlinear stories. What that means is it's basically like you can make your own, choose your own adventure stories. It's really cool. It's not the most, I don't know, luxurious multimedia experience, but it does make little branch type storytelling possible. So for example, the picture right there and the one I'll show you is one library, Hodges University, made a APA tutorial themed with zombies. So the more questions you answer correctly, the more zombie antidote you get. It's really cool. I'll show you that in just a minute. All right, the other active learning thing I really like is Hypothesis, and that's actually the website, hypothesis.is. And you can annotate live web pages. I think this would be really cool for an information literacy activity, for example. You can make things public so that anyone that uses Hypothesis can see your annotations, or you can make them private and just limit them to a group. And I'll show you this in just a moment, too. It's really cool. Basically, what you do is you make an account, you get the Chrome plugin, and then on the right sidebar, whenever you're on a web page that has annotations on it, you can just expand that sidebar and see what everyone's saying. So you can highlight text, you can make comments on text. It's really neat. Okay, so I'll show you these examples. Let me close some of my windows here so it doesn't crash on me. Okay, so just to show you what this looks like kind of in the back end, this is the Twine homepage. For example, this is a story map. So this is an example of how your story could actually be structured in the back end. So each of these is like one web page, and this is how the web pages all link together. Again, it's like a choose your own adventure. So an example of it as an APA game is from Hodges. This one is just added to Primo as a peer-reviewed learning object. Congrats to Hodges, that's cool. All right, so this one is the library is being overtaken by zombies. Answer APA format questions to fight them off. And here are your responses. So there's hyperlinked text that takes you to the next page. There is a setup, so you can always go back. You don't have to do that. That was a choice that they made. And there's text you can read through, more text you can read through. And here, for example, is one of the questions. So this is the book, and you have to fix the citation. So which part is incorrect? I can never remember. Oh, no, that's not right. The zombies are getting closer, so they're trying to make an APA tutorial more engaging. And as you go through, this one kicks you back, which is really nice. They don't always. Of course, I click every single one wrong. There we go. I earned the first ingredient for the antidote by getting this question right, so that's really cool. So again, this is an open source software you can download. And let me give you one more example. This is a story, so a lot of people use it for interactive stories, again, like choose your own adventures. Let me actually mute this. I don't know if this is going to load. This is a story called, what is it called? With Those We Love Alive. Oh, I don't think it's going to load. I think I have too much strain on my bandwidth right now, unfortunately. This one has a little bit of like atmospheric music in the background that's continuous, which is really cool. And it's another choose your own adventure story. It's like a sci-fi story. It's really interesting what we can do with this. But again, think of more like text-based with just flat images. You kind of have to get too fancy. So again, it's free for Mac and for Windows. It's really cool. It does publish to HTML, so you do have to have a little bit of knowledge of how to host HTML files or upload them, but it's pretty easy to do because, again, it's fairly simple. So that's really nice. Oh, and then the other one was hypothesis. So my last example here. Okay, so this is a web page from the American Association of Colleges and Universities, and they have annotated this page. So this is an example that's public. And people have highlighted the text, and they have commented. Those are their annotations. You can click on one to see the annotations. So this makes me think of a friend of mine. So maybe if you had an ongoing class, this would be an interesting assignment to have groups annotate specific web pages, or maybe within one-shot library workshop, you could have students maybe assign them a web page and have them annotate the various parts of the web page for, I don't know, credibility, for example, or for red flags of whether or not it's going to be something they want to use for their paper. Yeah, you can see a lot of these annotations on the right here. And again, this is a Chrome plugin. I said to create a free account. You can expand, you can contract, and this is open source as well. So Hypothesis will be around forever, and you can license your annotations, share them, do whatever you want with them. So that's pretty cool. So again, that's a Twine. You can just Google, I think it's actually twinery.org. Hypothesis is hypothesis.is, and that's the website for that. Okay, so this is actually my last app. Socrative is my last one. Socrative is another polling software. I actually have it at the end here because originally I had my feedback form available through Socrative, but because it's freemium, the responses are limited to 50, so I actually did a Google form instead. Socrative is cool because it is polling, but there's also a gamify option. You can do quizzes, you can do a space race, where you have up on screen given multiple choice questions, students answer in teams or individually, and then their rocket ship goes as fast as how many correct answers they get. You can use it as an exit ticket, so that means that you have a quiz set up. If you answer the quiz correctly, that means you can go, or maybe that's also like a feedback form for a given session as well, so that's pretty cool. Again, that's free, it's freemium. All right, so that actually brings me to the very end, so we can do questions now. On the left-hand side here, I do have a very short feedback form. I know that my wonderful hosts have their own as well. But if you do this feedback form, you can enter your email address, and I'll send you today's slide deck along with links to all of the examples. So you can sign up at tinyurl.com/20appsfeedback. That'll take you to a Google form. And my personal information is here as well if you want to get in touch with me. That's my email address, and then my website where I blog a lot also. My most recent blog post is about H5P if you like H5P. All right, so I'm going to scroll through. I know you had a lot of questions.
Yeah, Lindsay, actually we caught some for you, so we can just tell you some right now. So one of them we caught was, are there any tutorials or tutorial sites that you suggest for learning these apps?
Yes. So, for example, on H5P, my most recent blog post on my website is actually how to get started with H5P. A lot of the time, I just end up on YouTube, and I just search for whatever app it is that I'm using, and that'll help me out. For example, for Shotcut's a video editing software. It's a little bit tricky, but there's great tutorials on YouTube. So one of the great things about open source software is that because it's open source, they don't have a budget for creating professional tutorials, but because it's open source, so many people love it that they record their own tutorials. A lot of the time, just YouTube, or I'll just do a Google search for whatever the app is plus tutorials, and I can find a lot of good stuff.
Great. Another one we had is, do you have any suggestions for a good desktop app where you can have a lot of these apps all on one page, so you can keep track of everything at once? What are others using? So an example that they said like IG Home. I don't know IG Home.
Yeah, I don't have a good, I'm not really sure. I keep them as bookmarks or I download them and use them. I did do a LibGuide for my university that, someone uses Weebly. Yeah, I've got you know what, I think I actually did I have a draft post going where I've got a lot of these. I actually used H5P to make a list of all of these, and I embedded that into a web page as an iframe. So I mean, at my university, for example, I have a LibGuide that I call the Instructional Design Toolkit where I keep all of those. Yeah, Weebly would work. You can just make a Google Doc and hyperlink these things. I guess it's just kind of your own organizational style. I tend to lose things. I have too many documents everywhere. Yeah, making a page and and all the links as buttons would be a good idea too.
Okay, great. Another question that came through was, can all these apps run on desktop PC?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, all of them, as far as I know, do Windows and Mac desktops. Some of them are only iOS apps, but almost all of them are basically any platform you want, they'll work.
Just a couple more questions. If anyone else has questions, feel free to put in the chat box now. You kind of mentioned this on some of them, but is there a cost associated with these presentation apps?
Nope, they are all free, and some of them are freemium, and the word freemium means that there is a paid version, but there's also a free version. And the free version might be limited as far as number of students that can use it at once, or how long your thing will be live online, things like that. But all of these are completely free. Some of them just have limitations because if you're anything like me, you don't have much of a budget, so I wanted to make sure you could use all of these. I especially love the open source ones, but freemium is a close second.
Okay. Another question that came up, this is about Kahoot in particular. Does Kahoot have any reporting features?
Yes. Yeah, if you are logged in when you run the Kahoot in your class, you have to be logged in the same browser, then it will actually collect all the student responses and you can download it as a spreadsheet. I'm trying to think there's another one too that does that. Anyways, yeah, so most of these do collect student information if you're logged in. Not like student information like, you know, who they are necessarily unless they self-identify, but it does collect their responses, which is really nice.
Okay, we have time for a couple more. For H5P and Kahoot, and this can be for any any of the apps you showed us, can this be used in a one-shot, 1-hour class, in your opinion?
Yeah, I use Kahoot. I mean, this is a one-shot, and I use Kahoot. Yeah, so I'm actually doing another presentation with the University Library section in March, where I use polling and Kahoots to teach Creative Commons licenses. So the next one will be free graphics, audio, something else, free media. And one of the issues with finding free stuff online is, of course, how to reuse it. So I use Kahoot to help people get the basics of Creative Commons licenses, for example. Again, for library workshops, I like to use Kahoot as an icebreaker, just as something fun to get the class going and get the energy up. Again, in real life, it has nice music that plays along with it. And I might do something really basic like, okay, where are we today? Here's some fun facts about the library. Or recently I used it as a recap for my presentation. So it was for distance students, and it was things available to distance students, and they could respond with what they recalled. And they got really competitive, of course, and people got excited if they won. And sometimes I bring little prizes like library swag, you know, stress balls or something. I'll give those out to the winners or ship them off if they're distance ed, for example. I use it all the time because it's very easy to log in. H5P, yeah, you could also use that in class. You could use that embedded into a LibGuide. You could give students a link to it. There's a lot of ways you could use that in class. You could even play an interactive video on the main presentation screen, and maybe you can answer the questions that come through the video together as a class, for example. There's a lot of different options.
Another question, how do you find cool new apps from other ed techies, EdSurge newsletter? What's your go-to?
Trying to think. So many places. Let's see, I mean, I am an instructional designer. I teach in instructional design. I go to instructional design conferences and present at those. So, I mean, instructional design conferences tend to be more corporate, but just like academic, they tend to not have much budget either. So people share a lot of cool free apps at those kinds of conferences. I follow several blogs where I see cool free stuff. And let's see what's some good ones. I don't know, if you're in the Articulate Storyline community, they have some good stuff. Storyline is not free software, but the community is really great. It's called E-Learning Heroes. They do some really nice blogs with tips and some apps sometimes. Experiencing E-Learning is another one that I follow. She has good stuff. I can't think of the other ones I follow right now. And I also really love a couple of instructional design podcasts. There's one called E-Learning Coach by Connie Malamed. That podcast is E-Learning Coach, Connie Malamed. That's a great podcast, and so is Dear Instructional Designer by Kristen Anthony. She's a higher ed instructional designer. So I spend a lot of my walks during the day or my bicycling home, I'll listen to podcasts, and that's how I hear a lot about stuff too. So Dear Instructional Designer, for example, she actually did an interview with the founder of H5P. So, I mean, I already knew about it. I can't remember where I heard about it. I think I saw H5P first because someone was using it on their LibGuide at a different university, and I was just amazed by how slick it looked. And eventually I figured out what it was because they'd actually taken away the iframe. So yeah, I read a lot, I follow blogs, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I go to conferences as well. And in my instructional design program, students always are bringing new cool things too. For example, someone pointed out recently that I sign scholarly articles in my classes, and she downloaded a PDF reader so she could listen to the articles as she drove to work every day rather than having to read them. And I thought that was brilliant. And she paid the extra upcharge to get the voice that she wanted. But just really cool things that you go, oh, I hadn't even thought of doing that. So just, yeah, a lot of reading and talking and listening.
Great. I think we have time for one more quick question. Just so how do you know which of these tools are helpful for universal design or people that need accommodations?
So I always Google in advance whether or not they're accessible. Kahoot is accessible, but because it's so fast-paced, it's not really great if you have a student that is using a screen reader, for example. H5P, I mean, I always keep in mind for accessibility, and that's only half your question, but I always check for that in advance to make sure that it's accessible. For universal design, I mean, that's just kind of offering things in multiple formats. So, for example, for one of my modules that's in the class, one of the classes I'm teaching this semester is about graphic design. I've got videos in there and also text that read the same thing. So, I mean, for universal design, what I will do is if it's an asynchronous activity, I would provide either a transcript or an accessible document that has the exact same content as the activity. So I always do check to make sure the activity is accessible, but I will also provide something that will outline the activity in like a Word document that's accessible so they don't have to worry about doing the activity if they don't want to, so they would have a choice of that. I think that's what I would do.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. We're right at an hour now, so we'll end the presentation. So again, thanks so much to Lindsay O'Neill, as well as my co-moderators Taylor and Jason from the ACRL ULS Professional Development Committee. I'd like to also thank Lois Sharp and Sophie Skinner from ACRL. Remember that we will send the link to this recording of this session when it's available. Also, just as a reminder, please fill out the assessment instrument, a link to which have been just posted in the chat window that I just put in there, and that's for us. But also use that, fill out that feedback for Lindsay O'Neill that's on the screen right now as well, because that will be very helpful for her. The last thing I just want to mention are some upcoming webinars from the ULS Professional Development in the next few months. So the first one is How to Think and Act Like a UX Librarian, Part 2, which will be on Wednesday, February 21st at 1 p.m. Central, as well as another webinar called Free Graphics, Audio, and Video for Education on Wednesday, March 7th at 12 p.m. Central Time. The committee will provide more information about these programs over the next few weeks, and we hope you will join us for those. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you so much.